Hi everybody, welcome to the Mason country, and this is for my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and whoever's after that, and anybody else that would like to listen. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my brother who passed away a couple weeks ago, and he was a great brother. He was a year younger than I was, and he couldn't get better, so he went to be with the Lord, and he knew he was going to go to heaven, and he just couldn't get better. But his name was Ron, and we always called him Ronnie. And he he was a gentle guy. He never got mad. I never ever saw him mad, even growing up. Never saw him angry or anything. And he was drafted into the Army, I think in like 61, and he was in there 3 years. And in the meantime, he was in Germany, and he came home, got married to his wife, and they were together over 50 years, and she's still living. And so I wanted to talk a little about how he liked life. He liked vehicles. Now, he'd never had a new vehicle when he was growing up. Always some old vehicle. He had so many different vehicles, I can't even hardly remember all of them. I remember an old 41 Ford that he had, and he drove it to school. This was when I was a senior and he was a junior. And every morning my mom had to push him to get it started. Got into school. After school, the guys all pushed him down the street to get it started, to get it going, so he could get it home. But he also played football, and on the days they had practice, though, he practiced football, and then afterwards they would push him. Well, the thing was, my dad always said, Ronnie, don't drive too fast on the highway. We had to drive the highway to go into town. And he said, don't drive too fast because, those tires are bald. He never got new tires. So he had that for a while. Then he got an old car. I don't know what it was, what kind it was. I think it was a Ford of some sort, but it was a convertible. And the funny part of it was it was old, and the top was very old and not in good shape. And I can remember one time we were driving down the highway, and a truck passed us, and the back window blew out from the wind coming through the front window and back, because the top was up. So that was kind of the end of that vehicle. He had motorbikes, motor scooters. He had a motor scooter once that it had a wooden front on it, and you could put 3 people in it. Okay. A girlfriend of mine and myself and my younger sister were in it once, and Ronnie was driving us over to this we called it the store, an old store. It was over at a little burg on the highway, about probably 3 miles from where we lived, and we'd always go the back way. Well, we had to cross the highway the way Ronnie went that day, and we got stopped by a state patrolman, of course, because he said we didn't stop at the highway. So we all crawled in the back seat of the state patrolman's car, and he took us home. So we didn't ever drive up over the highway again with that, but we would go the back road to the store. And that was a time when you lived on farms, you knew how to drive when you were like 12. And I myself was 12, and I decided I was going to go out and get in the car and drive around the barnyard, because I watched my mom and my dad, straight stick and stuff. And I drove around the barnyard, and so there was 2 or 3 times Mom let me drive on the back road to the store. So I drove the car when I was 12. But anyhow, and when you lived on a farm, you could even drive out in the field, and practice. So, and we had a big barnyard. So, but anyhow, back to my brother. He and I trapped, and I think I told this on another video. We trapped for muskrats, and he would go down and get the muskrat. I would stand up on the bank. I was the one that carried the muskrat. But anyhow, we would sell those pellets. But one time, Ronnie was always daring me to do something, and I always tended to do everything he said. So he dared me. He had a BB gun, and he dared me to shoot the window out in the barn, the upper window. Now we're talking not a one-story barn, but it would have been equal to a three-story. It's a huge barn, and so I aimed at the window and I hit it, broke it. You know, we really got in trouble. My dad really whopped us, I'll tell you, because we shouldn't have done it. Well, I said, Ronnie made me do it, but hey, you know. And anyhow, but I shouldn't have done it. But it took a while before my dad got a new window in there, because we're talking a ladder that went straight up the side to the window. Wasn't good. But no, we had a lot of good times. And Ronnie, when he was older, back when the crafts were and he would make a lot of wood crafts. And I've got a rabbit here. I've got a lot of his crafts, but I don't know where they are. I've got them. But this is a rabbit he did. This is a bigger one. It's a rabbit he did. And I almost took it this year and whitewashed it. I thought it'd be kind of pretty whitewashed because I'm into kind of white stuff. And but he's a cute little rabbit, and he made all kinds of things. And so they would go, he and Joyce, his wife, my sister-in-law, they would go to, they would have like big flea markets, and they would go to those, and he would sell his crafts. And he had a lot of antiques and collectibles that he'd take, and they went to garage sales. He loved going to garage sales, and they would get stuff. And he built a barn there at their house where they live, and he has a lot of old stuff in there. Now, he had this old Model T, 1926 Model T Ford Coupe, I believe it's called, and Joyce just sold that. Now, after Ronnie passed, there was a gentleman wanted it, and so she sold it to him. But it was a two-seater. Didn't have a rumple seat, but it had a trunk in the back. And long time ago, Ronnie would take any of the great nieces and nephews that lived around there. He would go get them on Saturday morning, take them into town to the grocery store, and they got to pick out one thing, to like a piece of candy or something, and then they would go back home. But they remember that, and it was a lot of fun for them. And it's cute. It's cute what happened. But anyhow, I wanted to show you a picture of my brother. I don't know, CJ, if you can get this up close. This was taken. This is my brother here, Ron, right here. And this picture was taken at the bridge. This over here is part of our farm. And it was this bridge, the county was going to tear that down and put a new bridge in, but they still have it. This was taken several years ago because it was before 2012, I know. So, but this is the neatest bridge, and you've probably seen bridges like that. I've even seen bridges overseas that look like that. And we were really dreading that they were going to tear it down and build a new one, but they still haven't. So maybe our complaining helped. It didn't look like it had anything wrong structurally. And we were sitting actually down on the ground in the cemetery, which is right across the road. It was a big cemetery right across the road from our farm. But yeah, and this is a picture of when we were younger, little. And this is my brother here. My baby brother is not in there because he wasn't born yet. He wasn't born until I was 18. Ronnie was 17, and my sister was 19. So, but he was not in this picture, of course. But Ronnie, my brother, and I, right there, people always ask if we were twins, but we weren't. Just a year apart, or actually 14 months, really close. But this was his part of his program for his funeral. And he loved his country. He loved his country, and he farmed some for my dad and stuff, and he was just a really nice all around nice guy. And everybody, he worked for the county department. He was a bridge crew leader, and the guys always liked him. They just liked him. He was just nice. Like I said, he never got mad. Never got mad. So that's kind of the story of my brother. And so I think what I'm going to try to do also, maybe the next one, is I have flowers that I brought starts of from our farm that my great-grandmother started, and I want to show those. And now I'm excited because I've got granddaughters who want starts of those starts from the farm, and so I'm passing them on down. So I think that's really good, and I'm excited because I've got 3 granddaughters now that have homes, and it'll be fun to get the starts going for them and pass them on. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.